So Bernie's campaign is increasing the attacks on Biden for his record on Social Security, because his record is not protecting older people. It is basically after his party's neoliberal policies mixed with Reaganism and the Republican extremism have done this to the country. After his neoliberal policies and that of the Democratic Party mixed with the trickle-down tooth fairy of Reaganism have done this to the country, his policies have been to try and even the playing field, not by let's tax the rich a lot more, not by let's tax the corporations a lot more, not by let's actually have some healthy regulation. His policies have been, let's make cuts to, not to cut the military at all. Let's raise the retirement age. Let's means test Social Security. Let's freeze it. So what is the media doing as a result of Bernie Sanders' effective criticism? Politico. Biden charges Sanders camp doctored video to attack him. Joe Biden accused Bernie Sanders campaign Saturday of issuing a doctored video to attack him over Social Security, a false claim that ratcheted up the tension between the two campaigns in the run-up to the Iowa caucuses. So here, at least Politico said a false claim, because I don't even know if Joe Biden knows what the definition of doctoring is. It's not doctored. On Twitter, right? On Twitter, you only get X amount of time allotted. So I could only post a 2-minute and 20-second clip. That Twitter won't let me and others post a 20-minute clip. So Bernie Sanders' campaign has been putting out a speech that Joe Biden gave as vice president, saying Paul Ryan was right to want to look at Medicare and Social Security. But and the things he said were clearly talking about making cuts. But to CNN, because Bernie Sanders' campaign didn't play the whole clip, somehow they selectively doctored it. This is literally this is what you hear from Donald Trump. When there is clips of Donald Trump saying terrible things. Remember he said, "Oh, that's not my voice" on the Access Hollywood tapes. Then he said time and time again, no, that wasn't the full clip, or fake news. They pulled it out of context. Let me show you this clip. It's truly astounding.
There's a big debate. Joe Biden complaining yesterday about a video we're going to play you here. A senior Sanders campaign advisor retweeting this video of Joe Biden that cuts him off abruptly when he's making a point about Social Security.
Paul Ryan was correct. When he did the tax code, what's the first thing he decided we had to go after? Social Security and Medicare. Now, we need to do something about Social Security and Medicare. That's the only way you can find room to pay for it.
Now, the video cuts off there. If you actually wanted to be fair and have full context, you would listen as the former vice president went on.
We need a pro-growth progressive tax code that treats workers as job creators as well, not just investors, that gets rid of unprotected loopholes like stepped-up basis. And it raises enough revenue to make sure that the Social Security and Medicare can stay, still needs adjustments, but can stay. And pay for the things we all acknowledge will grow the country.
And so yesterday, and it will continue to play out today, you get a debate. We saw a lot between the Clinton and the Sanders camp back in 2016. The Sanders campaign is saying, oh, so what? Grow up. So we abruptly cut up a video that takes the vice president out of context. So what? Because in their view, Joe Biden did, and the record supports, back when they were having debates about balancing the budget, back when there was an effort to reform entitlements, Joe Biden is on the record over the last 20, 30 years of at times saying we should means test Social Security. Maybe there would have a government spending freeze that includes Social Security and Medicare. We should talk about these big structural issues. There was a time when Washington had conversations about the budget deficit. Those times are gone. Bernie Sanders and the liberals then didn't like it, and they don't like it now. So you can have a conversation about Joe Biden's record, but they get very prickly when you say you should have it in a respectful way, not abruptly edit a video to make it appear he said something he didn't.
Right. Well, we're in a phase, as you just said, of the primary where things are starting to get very nasty, and it is fair for the Biden campaign to complain about the way that video was edited and to say you can't just quote him saying that we need to touch Social Security and Medicare, and then not also quote him saying, and by the way, we also need to raise taxes and find a different way to reorder the priorities of our tax code so that we can pay for all of this. But it is fair also to point out, and this is going to be a theme from Bernie Sanders or whoever the surviving, progressive candidate is in the primary in several weeks, that, Joe Biden is a centrist on this. He has been willing to go and touch what he has himself called a third rail of talking about potential cuts and slows to the growth of Social Security and Medicare in order to, balance the budget and get the country to a place where, the fiscal picture is not as skewed as it is now. And that is an issue that many candidates have not been willing to talk about. And it will be interesting to see if Joe Biden embraces that history of having talked about that or backs off now and says, that may have been the right thing to debate then, but not now.
Yeah, his new plan is more, it's not a Sanders plan, but his new plan is more to the left than where Joe Biden was years ago. We'll see. Maybe I'm asking too much, so we actually have context and nuance in these debates over very important policy as opposed to clipped videos, but oh well.
There's so many things wrong with that report that it would take me 3 hours. First of all, this is not about Bernie Sanders for a second. It's not about Bernie or Joe Biden. This is just about, logistically, Bernie Sanders' campaign didn't edit the clip. There was no deceptive editing. They posted on Twitter, right? So, before the show today, I have a 10-minute video that I want to play for you. I have a 15-minute video that I want to play for you. But for those 10-minute videos or 15-minute videos, I'm not some companies or whatever are allowed to post longer clips on Twitter. But for most, Twitter only allows you a 2-minute and 20-second time to post. Some choose to post 30 seconds. Some choose to post a minute. But in the clips that I saw sent out by the Sanders campaign, they isolated a clip and then posted the actual full link to the whole thing. But putting aside the inaccurate phrasing that they selectively edited something when they didn't, Joe Biden right there, this is how out of touch wealthy, mostly white anchors and journalists are. When Joe Biden says we need to make adjustments, as Ryan Grimm from The Intercept points out, adjustments in Washington is a euphemism for cuts. That's just a basic fact of congressional lingo that can't be disputed. But I don't blame PolitiFact for not being familiar with it. Now that they are, this should be corrected. We're going to get to Politico in a second. So that's number one. Joe Biden is clearly talking about adjustments. I mean, first of all, you think the person who's going to defeat Donald Trump is on tape agreeing with Paul Ryan? You think the person who's going to beat Donald Trump is on tape, which I'm going to show you in a minute, praising Bob Dole? You think the person who's going to defeat Donald Trump is on tape giving George W. Bush a Patriot Award? You think this is going to defeat Donald Trump? Remember Chuck Schumer in 2016 said, for every blue collar worker in Pennsylvania we lose, we're going to pick up 2 Republican voters. Why do you keep doing the same exact strategy, expecting a different result? It's insanity. PolitiFact out with this garbage. Did Biden laud a Paul Ryan proposal to cut Social Security, as Bernie Sanders' campaign said? Well, I don't think Bernie Sanders' campaign said he lauded it. He said, Biden openly said, I agree with Paul Ryan on making changes to Social Security and Medicare. Again, adjustments, changes, it means cuts. When you raise the retirement age, that's a cut. When you means test it, that's a cut. It's taking services and the program away from eligible people. I don't know what these people think that is. And by the way, just a totally separate discussion, I love, not one person on that panel said, why does Joe Biden never talk about adjustments to the military? We can't have discussions about adjustments needed to be had of the military budget because the military budget is bigger than the budget for Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. I don't know if you know that. The cost of the military budget is bigger. But we never talk about, well, you know, if we don't look at making adjustments to the military budget, you know, the sun won't rise in 20 years. It's this cognitive dissonance that these journalists have. Got to figure out how to pay for these programs that, you know, older people rely on, sick people rely on, vulnerable people rely on, the poor rely on. And by the way, they're not entitlements. People pay into the programs. So you are not taking away something that people are entitled to. You're taking away something that people have paid into. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.